These aren't just tips, they're the collisions you've been trying to avoid. These are the brutal truths you aren't supposed to learn until you've run out of time to use them. I'm giving them to you now, while you still have a heartbeat. Your personality is a defense mechanism. Stop pretending your personality is authentic. Most of what you call you is just a collection of survival tactics you built to get through the middle school without being crushed. Your humor is a shield. Your constant hustle is a desperate bid for worth. Your silence is just a hideout. You aren't being yourself, you're just wearing the armor you needed to stop the world from hurting you again. Stop mistaking your scars for your skin. Everyone is their own protagonist. You spend your 20s paralyzed by what strangers think of you. You spend your 40s pretending you don't care what they think. Then you spend your 60s realizing they were never thinking about you at all. Everyone else is too busy editing their own failures to notice yours. Stop trading your limited time for an applause that isn't coming. You're living your someday right now. This is it. The job, the city, the freedom. This is exactly what you were praying for 5 years ago. You arrived at your destination and you're already bored with the view. If you can't find peace in the now you once craved, you'll never find it in the next you are chasing. Stop waiting for a better life and start realizing you're already standing in the middle of it. The safety of the 9 to 5 is a delusion. You think you have security because you have a steady paycheck, but you're actually one restructuring email away from absolute panic. You are trading 40 hours a week to build someone else's dream, and they will replace you in 7 days if it's gonna save them 2% on their bottom line. Your loyalty is a one-way street, and the ladder you are climbing is leaning against a wall you don't even own. Your parents are just kids who had kids. You are still trying to win a game designed by people who didn't even know the rules. Your parents weren't the omniscient guides you remember, they were just terrified 20-somethings who suddenly had a mortgage and a stroller. You're living your life according to the survival manual of two people who were guessing their way through the dark. Stop waiting for a blessing from people who are still trying to forgive their own parents. Comfort is the slowest way to die. You think you are resting, but you are actually rotting. You've spent your life trying to kill the stress that would have forced you to grow. Now you have finally achieved the easy life, and you have realized that it's just a velvet-lined coffin. Evolution only happens when things are hard, yet you've traded your greatness for a soft chair and a warm screen. You aren't finding yourself, you're just fading away. The cemetery is full of indispensable people. The world doesn't stop turning when the geniuses die, and it won't stop for you. You spend your life stressed, overworking, and sacrificing your health for a title that will be reassigned before your funeral is even over. You think you are the main character in an epic story, but to the system, you're just a replaceable part in the machine that doesn't care about your soul. You are trading your finite life for the title that will be deleted from the company directory by Monday morning. Your inherited opinions are a script written by strangers. Most of what you believe isn't actually yours, it's just the leftover noise of the zip code you were born in. You define your politics, your religion, and your standards as if they were divine revelations, but they are usually just the biases of your parents and the 3 loudest people in your high school. Your authentic self is buried under the mountain of opinions you never even auditioned. Your silence is a debt you can't repay. We treat our I love yous and our apologies like they're some kind of rare currency we need to hoard for a rainy day. You've spent years swallowing the truth just to protect a pride that won't even show up to your funeral. You think staying silent makes you look strong or composed, but it actually just makes you a stranger to the people who matter most. It is infinitely better to be too much today than to be too late for the rest of your life. Your body is a rental. You treat your health like a permanent subscription, but it's actually a one-time lease with an expiration date that you aren't allowed to see. You spend your prime years redlining the engine, fueling it with trash, skipping the maintenance, and assuming the check engine light is just a suggestion. We act like we have a spare in the garage, but this is the only vehicle you'll ever get to drive. You are treating your only home like a cheap hotel room you never plan on returning to. Toxic loyalty is a sunk cost. We stay in dead-end jobs and drain in relationships because we've already put in so much time, as if our past years were a deposit we might lose if we walk away. You're staying in the house that's literally on fire just because you spent a decade picking out the furniture? We call it loyalty to make ourselves feel noble, but it's usually just a fear of admitting we made a mistake. The time you've already lost is the reason to leave, not a reason to stay. Waiting for the perfect moment is just a slow motion failure. You are waiting for the green light that's never going to come. We treat the right time like it's a cosmic alignment we have to wait for, but it's really just an high-end excuse to stay exactly where we are. Perfectionism isn't a badge of honor, it's just a procrastination in a suit and tie. You aren't preparing, you're just stall testing the dream that starts to gather dust. The perfect moment is just the story you tell yourself to avoid the risk of being a beginner. Stop waiting for the storm to pass and just learn how to walk in the rain. You're the villain in someone else's story. We all spend our lives casting ourselves as the misunderstood hero, the one just trying to do their best. But in a dozen other narratives, you're a cold-hearted boss, a toxic ex, or the person who broke the heart and never looked back. You can't curate your way out of being a bad guy in a script you didn't write. No matter how much you work on yourself, you are still the monster under someone else's bed. Busyness is a lack of priority. You aren't actually running out of hours, you are just running out of excuses for the things you choose to ignore. When you tell someone, I'm busy, you're rarely talking about your schedule, you're talking about your hierarchy. I don't have time is just a polite translation for you didn't make a cut. Stop blaming the clock for the choices you are making with your life. A win for your pride is a loss for your life. We treat every disagreement like a court case where we have to prove other person wrong to feel whole. You'll spend an entire evening dissecting their flaws just to stand on a pedestal of being right, but you are standing there alone. Winning an argument isn't a victory if it leaves the scar that never heals. You won the debate, but you lost the person. Was the victory worth the silence? Your potential is a ghost of the person you refuse to be. Most people wear potential like a gold star on their forehead, but by 30, it's actually a warning light. It means you've been sitting on a winning lottery ticket for a decade and you were too scared to ever cash it in. You've spent years preparing and planning as if the universe is waiting for you to feel ready before it starts the clock. Potential isn't a badge of honor, it's the receipt for the person you've been too lazy to become. If you win alone, you've actually lost. We romanticize the lone wolf era as if being isolated is a prerequisite for being great. You've spent so much time cutting out distractions that you've accidentally cut out the only two people who actually know your middle name. You think you're being disciplined, but you're really just becoming a stranger to people who loved you before you had something to prove. If you're going to lose your soul to find your fortune, you're going to realize too late that you've just bought an expensive seat at a table for one. Your attention is a slot machine you're rigged to lose. You think social media is free, but you are paying for every like with the only asset you can't earn back, your finite time. You've traded your focus for a slot machine that lives in your pocket, letting the strangers dictate your mood before you even brush your teeth. We call it staying connected, but you've never actually been more disconnected from the person sitting across of you, or the person in the mirror. You aren't a user, you are the product being sold one wasted hour at a time. If it's easy to do, you are easy to replace. We spend our lives searching for the path of least resistance, thinking easy is the ultimate goal of successful life. But in a world where everyone is looking for a shortcut, being the person who does the easy thing makes you entirely disposable. If your job, your skills, and your relationships don't require effort, they don't require you. They just require a warm body. The comfort you are chasing today is the same cage that will trap you tomorrow. Healing is the job no one else can do for you. We wait for an apology that will never come and the rescue team that isn't on the way. It's easy to point at the people who broke you and say, this is why I'm stuck. But while you're being right, the clock is still ticking. You may not have started the fire, but you are the only one holding the bucket. The victim chair is the most comfortable seat in the house, but it's the only one that never moves. Your future self is the only judge that matters. We live like our future self is a complete stranger, someone else who will deal with the debt, the health problems, and the broken dreams we are creating today. You treat your tomorrow like a trash can for the things you are too lazy to do now. But one day, that stranger will wake up in your body, living the consequences of every shortcut you took. If you met yourself in 20 years, would that person thank you for the foundation you've built? Or would they spit on you for the ruins you've left behind? Money doesn't change you, it reveals you. We love to tell ourselves that we'd be better people if we just had more cash, more generous, more relaxed, more kind. But money has no interest in fixing your personality, it only cares about giving you resources to be exactly who you already are. If you're a miserable person in Honda, you're just going to be a miserable person in a Ferrari. If you are waiting for a paycheck to make you a good human, you're going to be waiting forever. Wealth doesn't give you a new soul, it just gives you the one you have the permission to stop pretending. Presence is the rarest currency. Most people haven't had a 5-minute conversation without checking their phone in 3 years. You've convinced yourself that multitasking is a skill, but it's actually just a polite way of telling the person in front of you that they aren't worth 60 seconds of your focus. Every time you flinch toward a notification mid-sentence, you are trading a real human soul for a digital ghost. The rarest gift you can give someone in 2026 isn't your money or your advice. It's the fact that you're actually in the room. When you'll die, they will talk about you on your funeral for exactly 1 hour. Most people spend their lives building a legacy out of stress, missed birthdays, and performative success, as if they're auditioning for a history book that will never be written. But here is the reality of your grand finale. After you're gone, the people who gathered to mourn you will sit down for a post-funeral lunch. They'll share exactly 1 hour of classic stories and heavy sighs about how short life is. And then someone will ask if the table is split in the dessert, and the conversation will pivot to the weather or the drive home. You're burning your only life to impress the crowd that will forget you the moment the check arrives. Your peace is just a contract for your own betrayal. You aren't being kind when you swallow your words. You're just feeding a monster that eventually is going to eat you from the inside out. Every time you stay silent to avoid an argument, you are making a silent agreement to betray yourself. You think you are maintaining a relationship, but you're actually just financing a war against your own dignity. The peace you're keeping is a slow poison, and you are the only one who's paying tax on it. Stop setting yourself on fire just to keep everyone else warm. Regret is a life sentence. Failure is a month of bruises. Failure is a sharp, sudden sting that fades as soon as you start your next attempt. It's a bruise that heals in 30 days. But regret is a dull rhythmic ache that stays in your bones until the very day they bury you. You're so afraid of the embarrassment of not making it that you are willing to accept the slow motion torture of what if. Failure tells you that you weren't ready yet. Regret tells you that you were too cowardly to even find out. One is a lesson, the other is a ghost. A golden handcuff still chafes the same. Most people confuse freedom to the ability to buy whatever they want, but true freedom is the power to say no to things you don't want. If you've built a life that requires you to say yes to a paycheck you hate or an invitation you dread, you aren't an architect of your life, you're just a servant to your lifestyle. Every time you agree to something just to keep the wheels turning, you're signing a new lease on your own cage. Freedom isn't about how much you can accumulate, it's about how much you can walk away from without flinching. The standard you walk past is the standard you accept. You think you are being chill or flexible, but you're actually just a collaborator in your own decline. Whether it's a dirty dish in your sink, a mediocre employee in your office, or a toxic thought in your head, the moment you see it and you keep walking, you've officially endorsed it. You don't get the life you want, you get the life you tolerate. Your boundaries aren't defined by what you say in your bio, they're defined by the lowest level of bullshit you're willing to put up with. If you don't call it out, you're calling it home. A yacht is just a larger container for your existing anxiety. Most people treat happiness like a destination, a finish line they'll cross while they finally have the right house, the right partner, or the right bank balance. But happiness is a skill you practice, not a trophy you win. If you haven't mastered the ability to enjoy a simple sandwich on a park bench, a 5-course meal on a 100-foot yacht won't taste any better. You'll just be miserable in a more expensive fabric. You don't attain joy, you inhabit it. If you're waiting for enough to finally be happy, you'll realize that enough is a horizon that moves every time you take a step toward it. These truths are finally out in the open, and you can't unsee them. You can either go back to sleep, or you can start living a life that's actually yours. Subscribe if you're ready to stop auditioning and start showing up for the only life you've got. The choice is yours, but the clock is ticking.